Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the EKN Radio Network and another edition of This Week in Karting here on ekartingnews.com. It's Wednesday, January the 30th. We are closing in on the end of the first month of the 2019 calendar year. The season most definitely underway in the southern states, racing in, of course, Florida, in Texas, and kicking things off as well in Southern California. Of course, the Tri-C Karters having their, I believe, SoCal Winter Chill program. So lots to talk about. Again, these This Week in Karting podcasts essentially designed to summarize everything that came on the EKN homepage over the last week or so. Not a ton of information coming midway through January, so we've kind of wrapped up a couple of weeks of information in this particular episode. And as always, this show will air first on the EKN Radio Network, which you can listen to either on the website at ekartingnews.com/radio or through the downloadable app, the EKN Radio Network. You can get that app from iTunes or Google Play. From there, we take it, put it in podcast form. You can get it on the website. Of course, download it from iTunes and Google Play as well as a podcast. It's on Podbean and now as well on Spotify. Joining me as always for This Week in Karting, the man that actually puts everything up onto the EKN homepage, David Cole with me. Dave, before we even get in here early, let's just start about this. Racing happening down south. But man, you primarily right in the middle of Michigan, right in the middle of an unbelievable cold snap, which has hit the northern states here at the end of January.
It's the polar vortex is what I guess everybody's calling it. So
blame Canada.
Negative wind chill temperatures. So we haven't gone outside today. Shoveled the last 2 days 3 times, and thankfully the snow is not coming down as hard as it was. But it's the wind and the cold temperatures that are closing pretty much everything: banks, schools, health centers, bowling alleys, fun spots, because we can't take our kids anywhere. So everything's shut down, especially today, more so today than it is any other day.
Hey, watching on social media, you're at least getting the workout, that Canadian / Northern U.S. winter workout.
Yeah. All honesty, I just saw this movie on TV the other day. I felt like Rocky, training in the Russian mountains in the cold snow. Just out there, just playing Rick Springsteen in my head. All those great soundtrack album music.
I love it. Well, folks, we've had a lot of stuff going up on the EKN homepage. Of course, David Cole handling that as the news desk manager. We're going to talk SKUSA Pro Tour. We're going to talk the Texas Pro Kart Challenge, Texas Sprint Racing Series, Florida Winter Tour. A lot of schedules coming out, so we'll go over some schedules. More stuff happening as well in the industry, in the Operation Grassroots kind of side. We'll bring you up to date on some of the editorial we've had on the website, some of the podcasts you're going to be able to pick up, and we're also going to let you know what's coming up on the EKN Radio Network, and of course as well on the EKN Trackside Live Tour presented by Cooper Tires. David, let's jump in first with Superkarts USA. We're just over, a month away from the launch of their 2019 Pro Tour, the 10th running of that program, and of course the 3rd annual Winter Nationals taking place in Cal Speed. A lot of people, David, kind of wondering exactly what the class structure was going to look like. One of the biggest things, of course, has been the introduction of the new IAME SSE 175cc shifter engine. It making its debut at the opening round of the Winter Series in Homestead midway through January. What was going to happen, right, Dave? Was it going to be just the Pro shifter on the 175? Was stock Honda gone, or was it going to come back? SKUSA kind of setting things straight, laying out the entire program for Pro Tour in 2019.
They did. It's in a very expanded class structure, to say the least. It's not something that we're familiar with Superkarts USA Pro Tour, being it started with, I think, 8 classes at the beginning, and now we're up to, I believe it's 13. So it's a very expanded class structure. Still has the same categories essentially from last year, especially when the IAME categories. You go X30 Senior, Junior, Master, Mini Swift, and Micro Swift. The addition there is the Super Master, which will likely run together with the X30 Master So that's new for 2019 on the IAME single speed side of things.
Yeah, the Supermaster category for drivers 45 years of age and older, as that SKUSA community that's been around for 10 years continues to get a little bit older and older. That 45-year-old barrier where people are getting a little older and maybe having more trouble running with the guys that are 30 plus, because we see guys like Robert Marks, John Crow, who can run with the younger guys in that particular Masters age bracket. But it really has started to gain more interest. So yeah, you're correct. SKUSA coming back again. With, again, S4 Supermaster stock moto. We'll talk about that, but also adding the Supermasters category to run with X30 Masters. But more even, David, let's talk about new classes for 2019. Then we'll go back into the ones that maybe were surprise re-additions for this year.
Well, new, obviously, is the KA100 Senior and KA100 Junior. It's keeping with the single speed categories that we're talking about. These are brand new to the Pro Tour. It was new at the Superkarts USA Super Nationals in Vegas. It's a growing category that we are seeing across the country. And they decided to, now it's a question of, are they going to run at the same time? Or are they going to run separate? It's all still kind of unknown as we are almost a month away from the Winter Nationals in Cal Speed. So it's still something to see, but it'll be something we'll be measuring up throughout the season to see how the competition level is in these two categories.
Yeah, I think the key, David, is to find out when the numbers do land. Of course, pre-entries, I believe the entry is now open for the Winter Nationals. So those who do want to get entered, get that done quickly. They're going to look at the entries for sure and find out what's happening. New, of course, as well, in addition to the KA100, is the SSC engine, right? The 175cc shifter. We saw the boys get it going in both senior and master down at pro and master rather, down at the Winter Series race. They're going to have Pro Shifter 1 and Pro Shifter 2 this year. That's the 175cc, essentially the new engine, but in the S1 and S2 classifications. Bringing back an old name from quite a ways ago was the G1 class. That actually stood for Gold 1 back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and that was for drivers 30 years of age and older. So there will essentially be a master's class, 30 and up, for the 175cc2. That's essentially S4 master age rules. They're going to call it G1 Gladiator. Now, David, some of the talks we've seen, potentially all three of those classes running in one race group.
Yeah, it's going to have to be with the number of categories that they have slated for this season. Race track time is limited, especially Winter Nationals being early in the year. Summer Nationals, no big deal because the sun's out forever. Even the Spring Nationals are going to be a little bit tight on time as well too. But to fit them all in, they're going to have to put these three categories together. It's just the kind of the way the logistics work out. As we saw, it didn't pose any issues really too much at the first round of the Winter Series, having Pro Shifter and G1 essentially together. So I don't foresee any issues except until grids get really large. So if the grids get really large, then it's going to maybe pose some issues.
Well, if the numbers start to go up and they have to go past what would be maybe 9 or 10 race groups, they may need to pull some lights out to Cal Speed for the Winter Nationals. As you said, Summer Nats is different. We got light till 8, 9 at night. It's going to be going down quite a bit earlier when we get there the first week of March into Fontana. So potentially lights may have to be brought in. We'll see what the numbers are when pre-entry starts to really spool things up. So the 175cc making its debut, Pro Shifter 1, Pro Shifter 2, G1 Gladiator. Then you've got the stock Hondas back, David, and that's something I was surprised at. I don't think everybody was kind of ready for it to go away, but they have S4 Master Stock Moto and S4 Supermaster Stock Moto, and they really weren't supported that great last year. I wonder if people with more feeling like it's going to keep moving forward, maybe they'll hold on to their Hondas and come back out and race again, especially when we start things off in Southern California.
It'll be tough to see. We thought the nail was in the coffin last year. We thought it was going to be all the new SSE engine, and SKUSA came around and did this differently. So, it's they have a different mindset. You talked with Tom in one of our insiders previously, and this is kind of the direction they're going. They never said Honda was going away. And we thought it was going to be more towards the regional programs, but they've decided to keep these two categories with the Honda power plant on the Pro Tour.
Personally, I see this probably as kind of a transition year. They've obviously watched what happened to the shifter kart categories of the last couple of campaigns. They pushed hard to try to get S1 to grow to 20, getting the S2 guys to move up. Some of them moved up, but some of them just stopped racing. S2 was actually a pretty good group. In fact, that combined S1, S2 group last year looked pretty good. Even the Masters, the Supermaster S4 had some pretty good numbers. And then we watched S4 Master, the 30 and up, dwindle away. Now we get lots and lots of drivers, full fields at the Super Nats, but on the Pro Tour it kind of dwindled away. So, the addition of the KA100, there's lots of excitement there. So maybe that's going to slot in. Looks to me like we're just kind of potentially in an evolution year with Superkarts USA. I'm going to say they're going to sit down and say, hey, let's go run these 3 races. And for 2020, we'll see what sticks to the wall. If we get 30 KA100 seniors and 30 KA100 juniors, man, we're going that way. If we get 6 seniors coming out to the race, maybe KA100 senior doesn't come back in 220. I really think it's kind of just a transition year. Dave, would you agree with me on that?
I would. It's going to have to be because I don't think we can keep this many categories at the pro level if that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
5 shifter categories for 2 age groups is a lot. And it's not like we had 40 or 50 guys, racing total last year at all in pro. So again, we're splitting them up again. And now we're splitting masters up into 3 classes. It's just, the guys have the ability right now probably to run 2 on the weekend. But again, a lot of these guys are not physically fit enough to be able to do that. Shifter racing.
Well, especially, I was going to say, Dave, especially if they want to run the 175.
It is, yeah.
Right? It's a bulldog.
Shifter karts as a whole are bulldogs. It's hard to strangle one for one full day of racing, let alone 2 categories. So we'll see. And again, my observation was the KA100 needed to be kept at the regional levels, and they've decided to go against that. I was against it at the Super Nats, but they proved me wrong there. I think Super Nats is kind of the runoffs for the KA100 category, and that's how it kind of should be looked at. But again, time will only tell to see what they decide moving forward.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that assessment at all. One last thing to bring in when we talk about the 2019 classes on the Superkarts USA Pro Tour, it's a change and a pretty major change, I think, to the X30 Junior category. They've made a tire adjustment. We talked to a lot of people in the paddock. I know you and I did, David. I know of a lot of input going into Superkarts USA as well. They want to go to a harder tire for the juniors. It's going to make it tougher to drive. It's also going to make the transition from Mini Swift to X30 Junior a little bit easier, but still tougher to drive on those harder tires. So most of the feedback I got, David, was this was like, it's about time. Like we're happy with it. We wanted it. And some even are talking about asking for harder tires in mini and micro as well.
Yeah, I don't know how much harder you can get with those, but I guess you could go rock hard with the mini and micros if you really wanted to. But yeah, the harder tire for juniors definitely going to help eliminate that feeling of drivers just going and knowing the tire is going to hold. It'll be, it's going to go back to tire management. And that's one thing that has been missing at this level is tire management. It's something we saw in the early days of SKUSA was you got 6 tires for the weekend, hold on and don't kill them, So hopefully this works out. It seems to be a positive. I wouldn't say 100% sold on for parents and mechanics, but it seems to be a positive move in the direction that they wanted to go with this category.
So SKUSA releasing the 2019 official class structure early on. Just this past week, they actually rolled out the 2019 prize package as well. And man, they went in a little bit of a different direction. I think people are really going to like it. Roughly $162,000 in cash and prizes going to be doled out throughout the 3-race program, thanks to Superkarts USA and in big part to MG Tires. Top 3 finishers each round are going to get a new set of Avinco tires 234 sets total, a approximate value of $51,000. Weekend cash payout for top 5 and X30 Senior and X30 Junior this year, $2,500. So it's the juniors getting added to the big money. As usual, winners in Pro Shifter, Pro Shifter 2, and G1. Actually, this is new. They're going to earn a free entry to the next SKUSA Pro Tour race, which I like. David, as well, the weekend cash payout. This would happen a couple of years ago. If you get over 30 drivers, they'll kick in $1,000 for the purse. For the top 3. I really like that in terms of the fact that, hey, you know what? You're not going to put $1,000 out if you got 10 guys. But if you get 30, then you're running for some cash for $500 to win. I've always liked that approach, paying off the numbers that are there.
Yes, it kind of makes you think of like oval racing, where the more entries that they get, the more money they're going to pay out. Well, karting in general, typically sprint karting, does not have a lot of payout events aside from SKUSA Pro Tour and some of the other number of high profile events. So yeah, this is probably going to be the standard, I think, throughout SKUSA era that we're in right now with it, and because it does give back. It's not a lot. $1,000 purse for 3 drivers over a weekend. It's not a lot, but it's something. It helps highlight those bigger categories a little bit more, and also staying on with Superkarts USA is their Circle of Champions program, which continues to be a big success for them.
Yeah, that was something that they brought in a couple of years ago. Title winners being brought into the Circle of Champions, a full 2020 entry for the entire Pro Tour. So tires, fuel, entry, you name it. Of course, the national #1 plate. They expanded a bit this year, though, David. Second place gets a free entry, a full entry into the Super Nationals. Third place in the championships gets a $500 essentially credit at Motorsports Reg for an upcoming Superkarts USA program. So, pretty good deal for guys in second and third place as well. And of course, capping it all off with the program being so connected with IAME, they have tickets for the champions in X30 Senior, X30 Junior, X30 Master, and Mini Swift. All those champions getting a ticket to the IAME International Final in Le Mans. All in told, David, $162,000 in cash and prizes all set up for this year's Pro Tour. When it comes to it's interesting, because my mind's flipping back to the interview, the Industry Insider we did with Joe Janowski just a couple of weeks ago, and everybody wants more money, right? Everybody wants $5,000 purse per class, whatever it may be. But you think about what it costs nowadays, the extra expense of going to some of these racetracks. And if people knew actually what they're being charged to come to these tracks, I'm sure they'd be surprised. And then you go back to what Joe talked about and the initial $75,000 investment in the video marshaling system, and then asking for more cameras and new tripods, and that marshaling system adding 4 more new employees every weekend. It's interesting. Everybody wants to see the purse go up, right? But the amount of money getting spent on the other side, on the budget, on the expense side of it on these weekends, I think that's what makes it just so tough for clubs, for anybody, David, because you look at SKUSA having to add more people. Heck, clubs nowadays are paying corner workers, right? We didn't do that back in the day. So it's just the expense side's what makes it so hard to have any kind of a major purse. It's crazy.
Well, and then on the flip side, competitors are complaining that the entry fees are too high, when in reality, if you look at it, it's like maybe $100 to $150 per day that you're actually paying for the entry, because all the rest of it goes in fuel, tires, pit pass, and oil. So, hey, we could tack on another, $500 to the entry fee, and then, we'll have big purses. Everybody's racing for the money that you guys, it's so kind of like, playing poker. Everybody's playing for the money everybody put in, but only those who stick around until the, reach the checker flag first, second, or third are going to get the big payouts. So,
Hey, David, you brought up the dirt thing, right? And that's exactly what you go to a lot of dirt races where they'll say, hey, this class, stock heavy, 100% payback. So they'll pay back all the entry fees. But remember, the guy owns the racetrack. There's absolutely zero cost for the racetrack. There's maybe 2 or 3 corner workers, yellow lights, a flagman, the costs are so much lower where they can pay everything back. The amount of money it takes to put one of these races on, it's super hard to be able to do that big payback, right? That's the key. Some of these dirt races, the overhead so much lower than what it costs to roll into a major event and drop 50 or 60 employees down and go to work.
Oh, it's nothing. I think guys, you take, for example, WK, they probably put more money into preparing the racetrack than they spent on anything else promoting the event. Because again, the track, for dirt racing, it's the track. If the track sucks, people aren't going to go. If the tire sucks, people aren't going to go. Well, they already had the good tire, so they just needed a track that actually raced well. And, so that's where they put, that's where all the money that really goes into dirt racing is making sure the track is spot on to where, you are, sprint racing. You got to have the pave, you got to have the track paved, you got to have bathrooms, you got to have electric, you got to have all these other amenities that nobody else asked for other than sprint racing.
Sure enough. That's exactly it. So again, this weekend karting, episode number 6, Wednesday, January 30th. Rob Howden alongside David Cole as we bring you all of the news that hit the homepage of eKarting in the last couple of weeks. Superkarts USA, of course, getting things started with a couple of announcements that people were waiting for. Class structure, prize package, they're done and dusted. We are just over a month away from the start of the 2019 Pro Tour, the third annual Winter Nationals, taking place for the first time, the first ever Pro Tour race in Southern California at Cal Speed Karting. Stay with us, folks. After this break, David and I are going to head on over to the Lone Star State to talk a little bit about the Pro Kart Challenge and about the Texas Sprint Racing Series. More to come on This Week in Karting.
Hello, karting fans. This is Gabby Chavez, and you're locked into the EKN Radio Network.
Le Mans, Daytona, Sebring, the most legendary endurance races in the world, where man and machine push the limits of physics in an attempt to beat their competition and the clock. Now you can add the SimCraft 24 Hours of Orlando with USAC Karting to your list of must-attend endurance events. This brand new 24-hour endurance race is taking place on March 29th to 31st at the Orlando Karting Center in Florida. Plus, this is an event you can do in your own kart. There are arrive and drive kart packages available in addition to OEM and bring your own kart options. All entries will receive a fresh Briggs 206 engine package, tires and fuel, and the engine is yours to take home post-race. Do not miss out on the must-attend karting endurance event of 2019. The entry deadline is February 1st, 2019. Go to 24hoursoforlando.com. That's 24HRSofOrlando.com or the Facebook event page at Facebook/24HRSofOrlando for more information.
For over a century, Briggs & Stratton has had a commitment and passion for racing. It's a DNA found in every engine we build today. So whether you kart race, Baja, race quarter midgets, or believe that dirt and snow are just God's way of adding to the challenge, the dedicated spirit of every Briggs & Stratton employee stands at the fence waiting for the green flag to drop. Briggs & Stratton Racing. What powers you?
In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience. And we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at franklinkart.com, where all of our products are just a mouse click away and we ship daily. We're constantly adding new products to our online store, so keep checking back. We specialize in IAME engines, tilt seats, and of course, our championship-winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find molecule cleaning products, minus 273 racing gloves, micron gauges and components, and both MG and Bridgestone tires. If you're ready to take your racing to the next level, come and join us at Team FMS. We've been supplying racers with start-to-finish support at race events for many years, from providing a helping hand on a weekday test outing or at a club event to full arrive and drive packages at the highest level of karting competition. For 2019, we'll be attending the SuperKarts USA Winter Series, WK Manufacturers Cup, United States Pro Kart Series, and the Route 66 Kart Racing Series. And we'd love to have you under our tent at Merlin Nation. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com.
Hello, karting fans. This is IndyCar driver Zach Veach, and you're locked into the EKN Radio Network.
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. Thank you so much, folks, for tuning in. If you're listening from the very get-go, it means you're either on EKN on the radio page or you are listening through your app, which you downloaded to your mobile device. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Do us a favor and go back to iTunes or Google Play. Give us a rating on that app. Makes a lot of difference in the exposure we're going to get through those programs. David, Lone Star State time. Let's start with the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. Of course, SuperKarts USA's regional program in Texas. I'm excited going back again to do all the play-by-play. It'll be part of our EKN Trackside Live Tour for 2019. 3 events for the program, both double headers, 6-round championship. Last year, we started at Speed Sports in Houston. This time, we're getting out of the middle of the summer heat, and we're going to North Texas Karters, Denton, on March 29th, 30-31. That's the first doubleheader. Then we go to West Texas, July 19th, 2021. It was 106 degrees last year when I was there for the weekend. Like Monday or Tuesday, it dropped to 85 or something. We just got hit with a crazy a weather push. Amarillo Kart Circuit, the copy of the Formula One circuit in Istanbul, Turkey, the Turkish Grand Prix. Fantastic facility. Everybody loved the racetrack. Again, that's mid-July. And then, second weekend in September, back down to Alan Rudolph's place in New Caney, Texas. Speed Sports Racing Park for the finale. Should be a pretty good program. Obviously getting feedback, David, from all their racers to tighten things down into just 3 weekends.
Yeah, as you said, they're changing the format again a little bit. Last year they had a couple one-day events or one round per weekend. This time they're going back to the double round weekends with Friday practice, a round on Saturday, and a round on Sunday, but only 3 race weekends. So it's condensing the schedule for them a little bit more. Last year, I think it was 4 weekends, 6 rounds of racing. So this year it's 3 weekends of racing, 6 rounds towards the championship. So a little bit of a format change, but again, it helps to open up the schedule for a lot of these racers because again, less is more sometimes.
Well, the interesting thing, and Texas PKC has really boasted about it, that series sends a lot of people to the Pro Tour, the SKUSA Pro Tour, and the Supernats. You know, for the longest time, you watch a shifter race, an S1 or S2 or S4 or S4 Supermaster, and you know in the top 5, there's going to be 2 guys from Texas in every top 5, right? There's so many guys coming out of Texas. Same goes now with Micro, Mini, and Junior. There's a lot of kids that are running the SKUSA National program. So to condense it a little bit, a lot of those kids are in Florida already. They're going to run the Pro Tour. They're going to run Supernats. This gives them, a good 10 or whatever races already laid out. I like the idea, and I know this for a fact that Gina and Mark French from the series really, really like to listen to their teams and their drivers. They want to find out exactly what they want to do, and they'll make the change. So I have no doubt that this was formed, of course, from input and feedback coming from the racers and the family themselves. Class structure, David, interesting. You're just not running Pro Shifter 2. I haven't talked to Gina enough about this yet to get exactly what the structure is, but for the most part, they're going to follow the Pro Tour class structure.
Yeah, they're going to follow the Pro Tour class structure. They're just going to have Pro Shifters, so no Pro Shifter 2. So they'll put all those. Sorry about that. They'll put all those all those guys into one class. Yeah. They will still be providing a stock Honda category that's not master, so they'll be providing that as well. Okay. So essentially it's going to be Pro Tour classes with a little bit of a minus here and a local option edition here or there too. So again, if racers show up, there's a class for you definitely.
As I had said earlier, this is part of the EKN Trackside Live Tour presented by Cooper Tires. I'll be down there doing full play-by-play, social media coverage, you name it. And, of course, we'll take the main events, put them on the EKN radio network later on in the week. Cool that I'm going to have my buddy Ken Johnson down there again. David, last year, the guys at Texas PKC, what a great deal. Studio 52, that's Ken Johnson. Easily one of the best karting photographers in the sport. Just such a great eye and a pro. They offered free digital photo packages for all of the racers. What a fantastic addition to the entry, right? To be able to get in there and have access to those great pictures from Ken.
It is. He's been around for, well, at least racing over a couple of decades, but taking photography was with Rotax for a long time, and now working with On Track Promotions at the SKUSA Pro Tour. But yeah, always great to work with Ken and the amazing photos that he takes week in and week out. So that definitely, him working together with Mark and Gina to provide this free digital photo package for all the racers there. It's amazing.
So we look at the Texas Pro Kart Challenge 2019 schedule. As I said, March at Denton, Texas, July at Amarillo, September at Speed Sports Racing Park in Houston. They have a series loyalty program, which I like. They call it the SLP. All 6 entry fees for $750. So you pay $750 at once and you're done. That's $250 a weekend. What I think that's a fantastic way to approach it. You get people locked in. That's one thing too, right? You pay up front. You're there for all races. You don't get the money back, but you're there for all the races. But it's just $750, David, for the entire program.
Yeah, think about that. $750 for 3 race weekends. Yeah. That's just your entry fee. Covered. That's, again, less than $100 a day that you're paying to go karting. Sometimes, guys spend $100 at an indoor karting track in one day.
Yep.
So it's amazing the opportunities and the deals that a lot of these programs are providing now.
One of the beauties about the Texas Pro Kart Challenge as well is you're getting national level staff. You're getting guys that go work the Pro Tour. You've got Mark French as the race director again this year. I thought he did such a tremendous job last year. Here's a guy that was a father of the number 1 ranked driver in the country, Jake French, and he transitions with his business. He and his wife Gina running the program, steps into the race director role, which, as we all know, is a fool's game. But he did such a good job. He's so good in talking to anybody that has an issue, potentially got a penalty and was asking for a protest. Mark was he's one of the best I've seen, and he's very, very new at it. So he's going to be there again. Just a great program all around. As I said, you've got flagmen, you've got guys that work the Pro Tour. Tremendous job everywhere from timing and scoring. It's the way they approach it is A1, and that's the concept, David. They're trying to approach it so that if you race the Texas Pro Kart Challenge, you're ready then to go to the national tour. And I like that. They want to make sure you're ready if you go to a Pro Tour event.
That's basically the purpose of regional programs, is to provide the lay the road work for you to be able to race at the national level.
Speaking of that, in Texas, of course, there's a lot of great clubs that run around Texas. There's another regional program called the Texas Sprint Racing Series, and it's more of a 206 kind of KA 100 kind of program. They've made a couple of announcements recently. They have become the new official IKF program for the Texas Regional Series, more of that grassroots kind of level. Big partnership as well, David, with Briggs and Stratton, with the Texas Sprint Racing Series.
Yeah, any Briggs 206 racer who races in more than one series event will receive $50 credit toward their second entry. So obviously Briggs has been a big supporter of programs that offer the 206 categories. They do this at like Rock Island. They do this at the Battle of the Brickyard. I believe they did that at the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour this year, at SKUSA Winter Series as well too. So yeah, they obviously provide a lot more than just discounted entries. They provide a lot of raffle prizes along with that have Briggs and Stratton products, including generators and power washers and other items that go along with the Briggs name.
All in all, this past week bringing some pretty cool information in regards to karting in Texas, how things are kind of settling in. Again, a lot of great clubs starting to really get some momentum with the Briggs 206 program, as it is doing from coast to coast. IKF rolling in as well to kind of stabilize things with the K100 and the Briggs, of course, Texas Pro Car Challenge, part of that, that platform of SKUSA regional racing. Good things for Texas in 2019. Folks, this is episode number 6 of This Week in Karting, as David and I break down some of the information that made its way to the homepage of ekartingnews.com over the last week to 10 days. Wednesday, January 30th, 2019. I cannot believe it. Almost into February already. It's blowing me away. This start of this year already just flying by. Stay with us, folks. After this commercial, David's going to give us a breakdown of the opening round of the Florida Winter Tour. Stay with us. More to come.
Hello, karting fans. This is AJ Myers, and you're listening to the EKN Radio Network.
The new year is upon us, and the Challenge of the Americas is the place to kick off 2019 as the premier winter karting series on the left coast. The program is entering its 12th season under the guidance of industry leader Andy Saisman and his fantastic series officials, promoting fun, exciting, and competitive racing throughout the winter months. The Challenge of the Americas is an official Rock Cup USA program, featuring all 7 of the categories from Micro Rock to Rock Shifter Senior. And they also have Rock Cup International Finals tickets to award to the series champions. Add in the new Tag 100cc Senior and Masters classes, all utilizing the Bridgestone tire, and the season is sure to be an exciting one. Prizes are awarded each weekend, along with entries to the Rock the Rio event in Las Vegas at the end of October. The series begins at Cal Speed Karting Center on February 8th, 9th, and 10th, before heading to Arizona and the Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson on March 8th, 9th, and 10th as well. The championships will be decided once again as the program heads north to the Sim Raceway Performance Karting Center in Sonoma on April 5th, 6th, and 7th. Head over to challengekarting.com to learn more and to register today for the opening round for the entire series. It's time, the Challenge of the Americas, so let's rock.
Hi, EKN listeners. This is Jeff Wessel from Streeter Superstands. When it comes to lifts and stands for your carts and the largest selection of shop and trailer accessories, we know all about building and giving you the best. The Streeter Superstands crew has over 30 years of experience, are kart racers just like you, and know that the Streeter name stands for durability, affordability, and most of all, quality. We're the original and genuine manufacturer of Bigfoots and stacker stands, and we build them right here in the USA, along with our best-selling Streeter Superlift, upright stands, and an ever-growing roster of shop and trailer accessories to outfit any trailer or garage. While some guys pretend to be number one, we prove it every day, every race. Racers demand the best, and Streeter Superstand builds it. Check us out at StreeterSuperstands.com. When it comes to the best in lifts, stands, shop and trailer accessories, and all the cool necessities to make your race day easy and organized, it's all at StreeterSuperstands.com. We innovate, not imitate. Roll with the best right now at StreeterSuperstands.com.
As a world leader in personal racing safety products with a sales and service staff and dealer network unmatched in motorsports, Simpson Performance Products is now the official North American distributor for Stilo helmets. In addition to their wildly popular auto racing helmets, Stilo is extremely excited to have made their move into the karting community with a pair of stellar options. Stilo has 2 helmets designed and manufactured specifically for karting: the Stilo ST5 CMR 2016 for kids and the Stilo ST5 Kart Snell K 2015 adult karting helmet. The company's karting helmets are directly derived from Stilo's auto racing helmets that are so popular at the top levels of racing. Drivers rave about the superior comfort levels, as well as Stilo's lightweight construction and unparalleled field of vision, a crucial attribute for karting. For more information on Stilo, check them out at simpsonperformanceproducts.com/Stilo or by following them on social media at Stilo USA.
I'm Jake Craig, and you're listening to the EKN Radio Network.
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. Rob Howden alongside David Cole. David, we're breaking down and kind of putting into podcast form everything that hit the homepage of EKN this weekend karting, the name of the podcast. We weren't able to be at the Florida Winter Tour. You were home. I was actually out here in California. Let's talk about Florida Winter Tour a little bit. They break ground for the 2019 FWT temporary circuit at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. The layout the same or as similar as they could get to South Garda. Pretty cool looking on social media. The venue there, I had the podcast with Garrett Potter. Really solid way to start the season off for Rock Cup.
Yeah, I figured we could just hit on this a little bit since we can't do a full debrief since we weren't there and not trackside. But obviously a big event at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami for the first round of the Florida Winter Tour. Welcoming in a lot of drivers from a lot of different places, a lot of different countries. Obviously, the wintertime is great for international drivers to make their way to the United States while the time permits. So it was a good open event. And as you said, a track very similar to the layout that is South Garda Karting, which is the home of the Rock Cup International Final. So to be able to mimic that in a temporary circuit is a pretty cool factor in its own. So, but looking trackside, there's a number of drivers who were able to lay down some good performances. The first, obviously, being AJ Myers scoring the victory in Shifter Rock, leading at Croc Promotions 1-2 with Andrew Bodozo, and as former EKN number one driver Danny Formal was third. So 2 number ones in the podium right there.
Yeah, a couple of heavy hitters up front. You had Bodozo in there as well, and they were swinging for the fences. No doubt about that. Myers, though, David, of course, coming off a double win weekend at the SKUSA Winter Series opener. Bodozo was there as well. He was top 5 for most of the weekend. But, man, there's a new gunslinger in town. That's Croc Promotions and Mad Old Nut Racing. That chassis looking very good with the national number 1 on the side of it.
For sure. Something we saw at the Winter Series event. And again, we saw it at Florida Winter Tour. Saw it run second place to Musgrave at the Super Nationals. So definitely the momentum is on Myers and the Croc Promotion side right now in shifter kart racing.
One of the interesting things I saw, David, of course, once they hit the ground running and we were following on live timing and to see who was quick and who was in the field down at the Florida Winter Tour race was Christian Brooks running with Orsilon Racing. I thought that was pretty interesting. A guy that does a lot of running with Nash Motorsports back in Southern California and around the country. But Christian Brooks flat dominated in Senior Rock. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, dominating is the word. Dominated. He leading every lap of every session throughout the weekend. So that alone in itself is a great task to do, to be able to be complete, especially the talent level that was there. I mean, I think it was over 30 drivers in the senior category. Brazilian Arthur Leese and Canadian Nicholas Horn. I can't say that name, man. Hornbosel. Yeah. So they completed the podium. So it was 3 countries on the podium in the senior rock category. So a lot of diverse drivers there. And again, Brooks just dominated the weekend. Sorry.
I was just going to say, interesting to see Arthur Leese running. He's with PSL Karting and will be doing some aggressive racing. Just recently, of course, not what we put on EKN, but they just confirmed that he's going to be running again a full year in the F4 US Championship. Of course, trying to follow in the footsteps of his brother Matthias Leist, who runs for Foyt Racing in the NTT Data or NTT IndyCar Series. And Matthias was actually down in Homestead for the SKUSA race. But Arthur getting a lot of seat time in karting this year, running with PSL Karting.
Yeah, and when we talked about that in our last This Week in Karting, was what's his karting schedule going to be, and I think that kind of answers the question of, well, it could be very limited for the summer months where he'll be busy focused on his car program. But again, I wouldn't put it past him to be at a couple of the higher profile events that work out with his schedule.
Yeah, I don't think that F4 is. It's 5 or 6 weekends, so it may slot in that he'll be fine in terms of running. If he wanted to run the entire SKUSA Pro Tour. Obviously he's been running some rock, so maybe one of the Rock Fest events as well. It all depends on the schedule, but we'll definitely look to see if there's any conflicts with F4 to see whether we see Arthur laced a little more here in 2019. But as you said, Dave, a cool podium, USA, Brazil, and Canada.
Yep. So moving on to Junior Rock, it was a bit of a wild finish in that category. Obviously, it was very competitive throughout the week. Brent Cruz was able to cross the line as the provisional winner aboard his Kart Republic, but a pushback penalty took him off the podium, which handed the victory over to Luca Mars. Mars able to claim the victory there. Diego Conchetta was disqualified for tampering with his pushback bumper in the scale line, so that took him off the podium as well. That moved up Matt Clark up into the second spot for his prime entry, and then moving Justin Arsenault, another Canadian, to go alongside Clark up into third. So USA, Canada making up the podium there. Moving over to Shifter Master, Victor Jimenez and the RPG entry there claimed victory in that category over Luis Schiavo and Daniel DeBoss, making up the podium in that category.
Moving now into the Masters Rock category, a pretty good field, and you look some of the names. A guy that we've watched win at the Super Nationals, Renato Jader David, again for Orsolon. He's come out of the gate pretty strongly, David. He was strong at the SKUSA Winter Series and strong at the Florida Winter Tour as well. I think Jader David's going to look to try to win a bunch of races here in 2019.
Yeah, definitely definitely a strong outing for him. Finishing up the podium with him was, of course, you're going to give me the hard names because we're going all Brazil for the top four positions in that category. So Felipe Richard Lepena, hey, I don't know.
I think it works.
Sounds good. Leonardo Marcelli taking the third spot. So again, I'm not very good with names. I understand Johnson and Smith and those easy names.
David, all you need to do is be able to type them in.
Yeah.
I'm the one that has to pronounce them, right? So listen, we're going to give you a pass on this one for sure.
That's why I was confused why you were giving me the podium, because those were the names I had no idea how to say.
Well, I don't know. It's pretty funny if you ask me.
Yeah, it's a blast, Rob. Keep it coming. I know how to say Chloe. I'll talk about Chloe Chambers, who happened to score the inaugural victory in the 100cc junior category, which, as we know, is a combination of the VLR and Miami KA100 engines. Again, we weren't there, so we don't know who was on what engine. But again, Chloe Chambers was able to come away with the victory over William Cox and Adam Maxwell, whereas the 100cc senior category had 0 entries. So I don't know if that's telling us, hey, we can only, 100cc racers can only do 1 or 2 big major events a year, because SKUSA Winter Series didn't have very many as well, too, in senior.
Dave, we've talked about this before already, both on air and off air. I think that's going to be one of the big questions this year, right? Everybody's trying to slot this 100cc program in early, and there's going to be 15, 16 races before the start of the season even gets rolling for most of the drivers up north. If you're a 100cc guy, you might not have the budget to be able to go to all these big races. Really, that's what it comes down to. I think it's going to be interesting to watch how that shakes down for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think that's
something you think would you agree with that? Yeah.
Sorry. I think that's something we're going to have to be watching throughout the year, because again, I mean, you got USPKS, WK, you got all the other stuff going on the West Coast. There's a lot of different options for 100cc racers. And again, these aren't the guys who have the, thousands of dollars to go race every single weekend. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Briggs and Stratton returning to the Florida Winter Tour for 2019 once again, running in the senior and junior categories. In senior, Jordan Pryor on Prime Power Team on a Burrell, edging out Zachary Linsell on the American-made MGM, while Mikel Aubin capped off the top 3. In Briggs 206 Junior, Gianluca Savaggio. Man, I got to work on that one. He scored the inaugural win with Nicky Palladino and Carson Massey also on the podium. Top 4 drivers, all from Canada, David. Some pretty impressive young talent in the 206 categories from north of the border.
Well, I think that's the reason why they wanted to add on the Briggs category to the program is because of the number of racers that are in Canada racing the category. So, obviously they race it all year long, come down to the United States and come kick our butts a little bit. So we'll have to brush up on our Briggs and Stratton racing, I guess, a little more.
Well, when we talk about the Canadian schedule a little later on in this podcast, we'll discuss some of the major races that are coming in, and maybe we'll see if you and I can slot one of them races in to our own schedule. Capping off the Florida Winter Tour, Kai Sorensen sweeping in Mini Rock. He has really kind of put his name into a bunch of championship battles here for 2019, I believe, in the mini category. Sorensen very strong on the Tony Kart, leading every lap of every session. Jack Jeffers ends up winning the battle for second over Nikita Johnson. And then a couple of the drivers that we saw at the SKUSA Winter Series at Homestead starring as well here at the Florida Winter Tour at Hard Rock Stadium. Becca Biasir, Enzo Vidamontian, and Salim Hanna, the top three in the Micro Rock category. David, Winter Tour underway. Another race coming in February, and cool that we got from our podcast with Garrett Potter that the kind of layout for the next race is going to be very similar to the Xplex in Las Vegas. I can't wait to see how close they're going to be able to get it, but that's the concept with the next temporary circuit when they again go back to Hard Rock Stadium.
Yes, so it'll be interesting to see how they lay that one out. And also, as you said in the podcast, them announcing where the festival is going to be heading down to the Bayou.
Yeah, they're going to Biloxi, Mississippi for the first Rock Fest. Garrett not telling me where the second Rock Fest is going to be yet. Not quite sure, but a lot of great news coming out of the Rock Cup camp. And again, kicking things off at the Florida Winter Tour. A bit of a debrief there. We weren't trackside, but David putting together the report based on live timing and the information he was able to get. Folks, stick with us. One more little break here. We're going to come back. We're going to talk some of the schedules up in Canada. We're going to talk about Hoosier Tires a little bit. And then we're going to tell you where you can find all the great content that we're kicking out here on the EKN Radio Network. Stay with us, folks. More to come on this edition of This Week in Karting.
This is Garrett Potter, and you're listening to the EKN Radio Network.
From coast to coast, Miami has become the two-cycle engine of choice for American karting. Starting with the air-cooled 60cc Swift engine for micro and mini drivers, and moving through the incredible X30 power plant for junior, senior, and masters, Miami is providing much-needed stability for the sport. In 2018, the new KA100 Rejet engine took the karting community by storm, and it will be a core class on the SKUSA Winter Series and Pro Tour, as well as the United States Pro Kart Series, Route 66 Sprint Series, and the WKA Manufacturers Cup program. Watch for more regions, series, and events to get on board with the new Miami formula. This year, Miami USA is debuting the new SSE 175cc shifter engine, which will be the foundation of Superkart's USA gearbox competition for the future. The engine has been custom designed with a balanced equation of performance and reliability. We have 2 distribution centers in the U.S. to serve you well. Miami East in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Miami West in Temecula, California. The momentum is continuing to build, so it's time to make an investment in stabilizing your engine program. For more information, head to the website for your region, MiamiUSAEast.com or MiamiUSAWest.com. Miami, the heart of karting. In a sport where the difference between winning and losing is measured in hundredths of a second, you can't afford to leave anything on the table. You invest in the best equipment, the lightest components, and top-of-the-line data acquisition systems. Anything to find one more tenth, right? I'll tell you right now, the best investment you could ever make is in yourself. If you want to improve your results, it's time for professional instruction and coaching at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Located at the new state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park just north of Houston, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy uses the very best equipment, Burrell Art Karts. They offer half-day, 1-day, 2-day, and 3-day clinics. They have a one-on-one student-to-instructor ratio, and they will design a customized curriculum for each student. Alan Rudolph is one of the most respected people in the sport, and he has nearly 20 years' experience training drivers, including Chase Elliott, Neil Alberico, Austin Versteeg, and Sabre Cook, and rising stars like Pietro Fittipaldi. Train with a champion with almost 30 years of racing experience to get proven results. Start off your season with a driver tune-up. Tune up your season with some driver coaching. Or get ready for the big races by training with the best. Reserve your dates now by calling 866-607-RACE. That's 866-607-7223. For more information, visit speedsportsracingpark.com/racing-academy.
The Kart Republic has arrived in the USA, and it's taking the world by storm. Kartsport North America is North America's exclusive importer and distributor for Dino Chiesa's Kart Republic chassis. Kart Republic has been racking up numerous national and international titles across all classes in its inaugural year of competition, including this year's CIK FIA World Championship. The team has arrive and drive seats and support spots available for the SKUSA Winter Series, USPKS, and WK Manufacturers Cup competitions, so call us today to reserve your own winning Kart Republic. Located in Mooresville, North Carolina, on-site at GoPro Motorplex, Kartsport also offers driver training and coaching programs, kart service and storage, and full retail sales with the top brands in the sport available in their 6,000 square foot retail space as well as their online store. Kartsport North America, top quality products, winning brands, and professional driver development services. Give us a call today at 855-527-8776 or visit us online at kartsportna.com.
Hello, karting fans. This is Andy Saisman, and you are locked in to the EKN Radio Network.
Welcome back to another edition of This Weekend Karting here on the EKN Radio Network. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole. David, it's interesting, right? A lot of racing going on in the southern states of the U.S. Canada still in a total deep freeze, similar to you, of course, in Michigan and Wisconsin, New York, Minnesota. Canada really, they're looking at maybe mid-April, mid-May before they even get rolling. So the schedule is really, to be honest, just starting to kind of come out for all the racing we're going to see in Canada. The Rotax program, still pretty strong in Canada. Their Canadian Open scheduled for Mont-Tremblant, Quebec on July 5th, 6th, 7th. Rotax Grand Finals tickets for Mini, Junior, Senior, DD2, and DD2 Masters. Going back to that fantastic track at Mont-Tremblant. Just a great facility.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event for them. Obviously, that event, I think, used to be in August, kind of around our Labor Day weekend period. I'm not quite sure what it was. I think it was close to a holiday for Canada as well, too. But to moving it to July kind of takes over the date that the U.S. Open was, because that was the weekend the last two seasons the U.S. Open has been in New Jersey. But again, that program is changing, a different format, as we talked about in other debriefs as well. That's going to two events, one in the East and the one in the West. And so that's kind of taking over that date. So again, allows racers, not just Canada, U.S. drivers have the ability to go up there and race in the Canada Open.
Well, one additional event that kind of has me intrigued a little bit, David, August the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, the ASN Canada Canadian Karting Championships up at Mosport Kartways. There's an unbelievably beautiful go-kart track right on the outside of Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the iconic track formerly known as Mosport Park. Again, mid-August, 125 Open Shifter, 125 Open Shifter Master. Of course, a lot of rock racing in Ontario as well. Rock Senior, Junior, Masters, and Mini, and Briggs 206, Junior Light Cadet, and Masters, David. And I just happened to have that weekend off. It would be 6 weekends in a row, but it's been like 5 or 6 years since I've run the Canadian Nationals. It's got me intrigued. I'm telling you, I might have to go race.
Well, the Briggs categories there at the Canadian Nationals seem to be the biggest categories that they have. I think the rocks are kind of growing a little bit more, but right now, if you want to race against 30 or 40 guys in your class, the Briggs 206 is the category to be in.
If we stay on the eastern half of Canada before we roll over to the west, the champion Ron Fellows Karting Challenge is kicked off again, kind of the regional program for Ontario. May 18th, 19th at Goodwood, the iconic racetrack that's been around for so many years. The facility in Hamilton, which once held the Canadian Nationals, June 15th, 16th. A couple of back-to-back races at Moseport in July, July 6th and 7th, and July 27th, 28th. And they'll cap things off on September the 7th, that championship capping off at Goodwood with a night race, which I think is really cool. Briggs 206 and Vortex Rock Cup Canada categories all involved in the Champion Racing Ron Fellows Karting Challenge. Of course, a couple of iconic names. Champion, of course, the Spark Plugs, and Ron Fellows, the iconic racer, the Canadian who has been such an ambassador for the sport, both north and south of the border. David, going west, it's the Western Canadian Karting Championship, but another real stronghold for Rotax competition. Blake Choker and the family doing a really good job to kind of change things up a little bit in 2018, and they look to improve and continue in 2019.
Yeah, again, another program that kind of has the two-engine format. They go Rotax and Briggs over in the Western Canadian Karting Championship. The series is, again, going with 3 events in 2019, first being up in May 17, 18, 19 at Chilliwack, which is the Greg Moore Raceway that you've never been to.
No, I went there for a Can-Am race.
Oh, that's right. You did go there. Okay, so I can't say that anymore.
I've never driven it.
Okay, there we go.
You guys drove it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So they'll go from there to June 28, 29, 30 to Regina, Saskatoon.
Yes. Dude, you pronounced it Regina.
Huh?
Regina, Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Not Regina. You said Regina.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I said Regina. Sorry.
Dude, you're American. It's all right. We'll let you go.
Gina. It's all the same. So that'll be the halfway point, and then the series will wrap up in August 16, 17, 18 at Warburg, Alberta.
They've done a tremendous job. I think it's called the Edmonton and District Kart Racing Association up at Warburg. They've a brand new facility. They've just done such a tremendous job. Their dowlers are up there and a bunch of great people. That's become a really strong foundation kind of hub for karting in Western Canada. They've done a great job, and I like this program, David. How many times are we seeing these 3 race series now? Right? Again, as we talked about in previous debriefs and this week in karting, is 3 is kind of the magic number, really, for any traveling series that we see. 3 or 4. That's kind of the magic number. But again, the good thing about them, the Rotax. As you said, they're following Rotax program. They're doing a lottery once again for motors. That's something that I think is drawing a lot more people to it, to where you don't have to have the magic engine shelf of 20 engines and 20 carburetors. You just show up and race. Kind of similar to the 206. You take it out of the box and you race it. So I think that lottery program is really helping rebuild this Rotax program. And again, 6 Rotax Max Challenge Grand Final tickets up for grabs through the series. So again, to recap, the Western Canadian Karting Championships, May 17th to 19th in Chilliwack, British Columbia, June 28th to 30th in Regina, Saskatchewan, and August 16th to 18th at Warburg up in Edmonton, Alberta. David, let's talk more about this. Was some big news that actually hit the shelf. I saw it when I was at the PRI show in December, and I believe Margay and Hoosier kind of rolling it out there that Margay and Hoosier were working together. The new Margay Ignite program moving to the Hoosier Tire. Margay becoming an importer, the distributor rather, for Hoosier tires, because those tires don't get imported, Rob. They're American made. Margay, of course, the distributor for Hoosier. Some big news coming out with the new partnership, kind of a Western U.S. and Canadian distributor.
Yes, RLV adding, Margay and RLV have kind of been long-term partners. And again, with Margay's move to the Hoosier Tire, adding it on as a product line and being the distributor, it didn't take long for RLV to tag along and be the Western U.S. and Canadian distributor. So, they'll be working a lot of the different states and provinces up in Canada to try and get tracks on board with the Hoosier Tire. And, Margay's already been quick out of the box to get one of their first tracks on board with the 61 Kartways right there near the Quad Cities where we always love to visit. And Tony Nielsen putting his program on the Hoosier Tire for 2019.
That's a track I'm going to put on my bucket list, David. I want to go check out 61 Cartway. It just looks like a really cool venue. I know that a number of series look at it and try to put it on their schedule. I want to get there one day and get out on that track. I want Tony to show me around. I just don't want to have to race against him.
No.
I've done that before.
I think we could beat him in a drinking contest, but that's about it.
Yes, I could. Yes, I think we probably could. You never know. He could be like that. That guy that comes out of nowhere and is able to outdo us both together. I don't know. Dave, okay, let's wrap up this edition of This Week in Karting. We'll take a little look at some of the EKN editorial we've came out, some of our original editorial, not just the stuff that came in. I know you worked like crazy on getting a bunch of our EKN Radio Network shows, like This Week in Karting, out in podcast form. Then we'll talk a little bit about what's coming up as well. Dave, one of the cool things that we were able to roll out onto the website over the last week to 10 days, a new editorial piece by Blake Hunt, a driver who is, let's say we'll call him one of our interns to a certain extent. It's a guy that wants to get into the marketing, journalistic side of the sport. He wrote up an article for us called Faces of the Grid, did a little interview with Brandon Jarsakrak. I loved it, and I think Blake's going to do some more stuff for us throughout the season.
Yeah, I think he's got Mike Geeson coming up on board for his next Faces of the Grid. Probably a number of other different people that you have in mind, that people have in mind to do a quick Q&A with him. So it's just another way of getting to know the actual people who we see week in and week out, or people who we read about on the EKN homepage and other race reports and everything else that we do.
Yeah, I like it. We're, of course, David and I, thrilled to be able to work with Blake and have him on board with us for a bunch of new stuff. Dave, let's talk podcasts, because, one of the things that if we'll give some little bit of information from behind the scenes, you and I do these podcasts, you go into post-production, you get everything put together, you get the ads in there, then you set things up on the EKN Radio Network. Your job here has been evolving over the last 14 to 15 years. And, little did we know back in 2004, 2005, that you'd almost be a radio station manager at the same time, because you're getting things ready to go on the EKN Radio Network. But once the stuff airs for 4, 5, 6 days on the radio network where people can get it immediately, then you turn it into podcast form, the on-demand downloadable podcast, either from the website at ekartingnews.com/podcast, or of course, any of the downloadable forms like iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, or now Spotify. You take the time after that, so it's kind of a double duty deal. You went to work, got a bunch of podcasts put back together. What actually became available over the last week or so?
Well, of course, This Week in Karting, that being a big podcast, January 9th, so that's now available. Before that, we did the EKN debrief from WK Daytona Kart Week. That's also available in podcast form. The next debrief was the SKUSA Winter Series just after that, from the opening weekend at AMR Motorplex. And then you go Insiders. We got Industry Insiders with TJ Halsma from SimCraft 24 Hours of Orlando. That was a good one for their upcoming event at the end of March. And as we've mentioned a bunch of times in this podcast and show, the Industry Insider with Joe Janowski of Supercarts USA. So a lot of different podcasts available. And again, everything that we've done from the beginning is available there, as you said, through iTunes and Spotify and Podbean and all those different outlets.
So yeah, a ton of podcasts going up, of course, on demand. But for next week, we got more stuff coming. David, of course, is going to get the podcast that we did with Garrett Potter up there by the end of the week. But I've got some new podcasts for the EKN Radio Network that I'm working on. Already scheduled for an interview with Marco Oldoffer from the Gear Up F Series, and looking to lock in a time and place with Mike Burrell from USAC Karting. Of course, lots of great stuff with the Battle of the Brickyard and the Elkhart Grand Prix. And I'm also getting ready to put down our second edition of my Book It podcast. I'm going to try to pin down the veteran, the legend, Lynn Haddock. Well, we get to Homestead for the final round of the SKUSA Winter Series. Lynn has agreed to sit down and talk all things karting, and that's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to, not so much talking. We'll talk a lot about his past, and I want to get some input on what it was like to race at his time. But of course, it's the guy that's been around a long time. I want to get his take on what he thinks is right and wrong with the sport right now. Here's what's coming on EKN. Of course, David Cole and I, it's been a bit of we've kind of been relaxed a bit. David hasn't been out to an event since the WK Kart Week in Daytona. I've, of course, done the first round of the Winter Series, but things are going to start picking up on the EKN Trackside Live Tour. A lot of EKN Live events coming. You'll be able to get all the play-by-play. We're going to do a double-header weekend on February 8th, 9th, and 10th. I will be at AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex for the final round of the Winter Series, while David, at the same time, will be at the opening round of the Challenge of the Americas at Cal Speed Karting. We're still figuring out exactly how we're going to make people able to listen to both streams. I'll be on the play-by-play from Homestead. Tim Chapman's going to be on the EKN Radio Network and EKN Live from Cal Speed. So stay tuned, and we'll give you all the links to be able to get all the coverage from there. Move about 3 weeks down the line, and David and I will be back both together at Cal Speed Karting for the opening round of the Superkarts USA Pro Tour again. The Winter Nationals on March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. David back on the road the next week again. He heads to Tucson, Arizona, and the Musselman Honda Circuit for the second rounds of the Challenge of the Americas. Lots of great stuff to come on the EKN Trackside Live Tour presented by Cooper Tires. And for those of you who do tune in to listen to those on the EKN Radio Network, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. To cap things off, more editorial coming. David keeps rocking and rolling on our top 10 profiles for 2018 of the Briggs & Stratton Weekly Racing Series. Those going up, of course, on Facebook, and we are making sure as well to put them out on all our social media channels. So follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. A lot of swipe ups on our Instagram story, so you can go straight to some of that information. And to cap things off, we got something that we're coming up with soon. We got our chassis showroom articles. So if you're looking to buy a new chassis, look for some new cool profiles of all the different chassis coming in February and March. Folks, that's going to wrap things up. We are capped and done and ready to go for the next edition of This Week in Karting. But for now, on behalf of David Cole, my name is Rob Howden. Bye for now.